All right, welcome everybody to this episode of O365A. On today's episode, we're joined by Obaid Shah, who is the Principal Program Manager at Microsoft for Teams Phone Mobile. And we're going to talk about TPM. Welcome, Obaid. Glad to have you on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
I don't think a lot of people really know or understand Teams Phone Mobile. So why don't you just kick us off, give a quick introduction to yourself and then to Teams Phone Mobile.
Sounds good. Thank you so much. My name is Obaid Shah. I work in the Microsoft Global Product and Engineering team, which powers Microsoft Teams Phone. And I'm the principal product manager for Teams Phone Mobile, responsible for its strategy, roadmap, and overall commercial success.
Great. So let's dive into TPM, as we like to call it. Why don't you give us a quick intro and sort of describe what use cases that it really addresses for organizations that could use it?
Absolutely. Teams Phone Mobile, or TPM, is another option for providing a phone number with Microsoft Teams Phone. With Teams Phone Mobile, a user's SIM-enabled company-owned mobile number is also their Teams phone number. Users can use a single phone number on their SIM-enabled smartphone and also in Microsoft Teams on the device of their choice. For organizations, why it's important is because an organization can connect a mobile SIM-enabled numbers for their employees to Teams, and Teams Phone Mobile can play a key role in organization strategy to enable a truly mobile or hybrid workforce by providing more flexible and efficient mobile-centric user experiences along with enterprise-grade security and compliance settings. Teams Phone Mobile is really simple to manage, and if organizations, for example, provide two phone numbers to their employee because they need to give them a corporate paid mobile voice and data plan because these users are either fully mobile or they are hybrid, and because they give them a mobile number which is not connected to a phone system, now the company also ends up also giving that employee a secondary number which is generally used on an app. In this case, Teams Phone Mobile can really help consolidate these into a single number service, and it really reduces management complexities. Teams Phone Mobile enables employees to work from anywhere and however they want on the devices they love. It provides a very inclusive communication experience. So even if employees using a smartphone native dialer for calling, their team status shows that they're in a call, like you normally experience when you make a normal Teams call. It boosts productivity with optimized calling experiences, and you can keep the workflow by making and receiving calls wherever you are with a single number. It also provides high quality and reliable calling experiences while you're on the go with shared service levels with leading mobile operators globally. And finally, it really reduces security risk with compliance recording support and policies now also fully enabled on the smartphone native dialer, not just their Teams app.
I mean, that's a lot of information for sure. And I think out of the gate, most people get confused, like, because the product is Teams Phone Mobile, and there's the mobile Teams client. So this is very different than running just the mobile client, the mobile Teams client on a device. But this is maybe from a higher technical point of view. This is like carrier call forwarding, maybe like between the cellular network and Teams. Can you maybe explain, kind of from an architecture point of view, how does the number get to Teams or get to the native dialer within a smartphone?
We have fully integrated the telco mobile network with Microsoft Teams Cloud and our backend platform, which means that the phone number exists on both Microsoft Teams, like people use with the Teams app for calling, but it also works fully on the cellular network like you normally experience making calls using just your regular smartphone. So it's a true hybrid service with dual network support on the cellular side as well as on the Teams platform. So for an end user, they can make and receive calls using their SIM-enabled smartphone, or they can use the same number over their Teams app. You can also seamlessly move the call between the cellular network and Teams app as required. So it's very exciting times for people who are highly mobile and they want to use all the advanced collaboration services of Teams, but also have the reliability of the native smartphone dialer as well. So we are fully integrated with mobile networks in this case through Azure.
Yeah, that's very cool. So you kind of touched on what I was going to ask, and that was about use cases. And obviously, it sounds like the primary use case is, I'm an org that I've got 5,000 users, and I'm dealing with 10,000 DIDs. Now we can consolidate and go down to 5,000 DIDs, assuming I'm working with a carrier that offers Teams Phone Mobile. Like, that's the big thing. And maybe talk about what is required from that perspective. Like, are physical SIM cards required? Can eSIMs be used with Operator Connect, or Teams Phone Mobile, I should say? I was going to say Operator Connect Mobile, which is now referred to as Teams Phone Mobile, but maybe just dive into a little bit about that in terms of what requirements an org might have, just to get started with this.
Absolutely. Teams Phone Mobile works on any SIM, whether it's a physical SIM or an eSIM. You need to work with the operator, which we have partnered already to enable the service. Currently, the service is available in Canada, Denmark, Germany, Sweden, Switzerland, UK, and USA. We work with multiple operators like Rogers, Telia, Deutsche Telekom in Germany, as well as Swisscom, Verizon, and BT in UK. If a customer is interested in Teams Phone Mobile, what they require is just the general Teams Phone licensing on Microsoft 365. So you just need either an Enterprise E5 plan, which includes Teams Phone add-on, or you can just have a standalone Teams Phone add-on added to your 365 subscription. On top of that, currently, there is a $0 Teams Phone Mobile add-on on Microsoft 365 catalog, which you need to add. We do not charge extra for this service on Microsoft 365 side. So as long as you have Teams Phone access as well as the $0 add-on, you are eligible for Teams Phone Mobile. That's the component on the Microsoft side. Now, you also need to work with the mobile operators who offer the SIM cards and the mobile service to make sure that they can apply the right services on their side to be able to connect this phone number to Teams Phone Mobile. So it's very simple. You go to the operator. As long as you have the right 365 licenses, the operator can help you onboard that phone number over to Teams Phone.
Just a follow-on question, Obaid. So when I work with my operators, there are changes at the tenant level that need to happen, or do you just register the users and the tenant with the operator?
It's a great question, Curtis. So if you go to the operator, they basically upload your phone number to the Teams Phone environment. And then as an admin, you will see that number under your phone numbers on Teams Phone in the admin center. So you can just assign that number to the user you prefer to do so. And it works exactly like any other phone numbers you have in Teams Admin Center, whether it's direct routing or Operator Connect or first-party Microsoft calling plans. It's a phone number. It will show it's a Teams Phone Mobile type phone number, and you can just assign it to a user.
Okay, so it tags it as, hey, this is a TPM phone number. Once it's all set up, then you just assign it to a user. Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
And sorry, I just want to clarify something around the licensing. You mentioned a piece. There's no charge for it. What was that called again?
It's called the Teams Phone Mobile add-on.
Add-on. Okay. And in the Microsoft 365 admin portal, does that show up as like an add-on service that you just select and assign it to the user?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Does that license, that add-on work with all the SKUs, or is it only for like E3, E5?
As long as you have Teams Phone access, whether it's the Teams Phone standalone add-on or it's Enterprise E5, as long as you have that, this will show up to be able to add to your different users.
Okay, so the mobile is an add-on to the phone, which may be an add-on depending on your license. Okay.
Correct. We are working in the future to further simplify this from a licensing standpoint. So our vision is to make sure if you just have Teams phone licensing or Enterprise E5 license, you don't ideally need to add that add-on. So we are working on it. We don't have the right timeline right now to share, but we are working to further simplify this. And in future, you won't even need this $0 add-on.
Just at a high. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Dino.
I was going to say I had the opportunity to work with an organization that moved to Teams Phone Mobile here in Canada using Rogers, and there was a bit of like nervousness around getting it set up, but essentially these were existing corporate users that had they wanted to have 10 users try it, and they were already using a Rogers mobile phone, for example, and basically we just coordinated with Rogers on Friday at 9 a.m. We're going to make this switch. So what happened was literally at 9:15, we got an email from the account rep saying, okay, you should see your phone numbers appear in the Teams Admin Center. Do a quick refresh, and we see all 10 of these phone numbers appear in the Teams Admin Center as a Teams Phone mobile number. So it's actually a different phone number type, which was interesting. And then licenses obviously were pre-applied, so we're ready to go. Make the assignments, and then all of a sudden that number is now working, rings in Teams and on their mobile phone. Obviously the voicemail, another important aspect to this is the carrier voicemail is turned off and no longer available on the mobile phone because it's now in Teams. So that's another nice feature. You're not able to check two different voicemails. You've got a common voicemail between the platforms. So actually relatively straightforward in terms of the setup.
It is. You're absolutely correct. We do provide unification of voicemail, call history. For example, your Teams app can show all your call history, whether you made the call from the native dialer or from any Teams endpoint. Yeah. And as Dino, you mentioned, we also have a combined voicemail now accessible through Teams in this case.
Maybe talk about, because there is a mobility policy that's in the Teams Admin Center, and you can allow users to choose their experience. Maybe just talk a little bit about that, what versus native dialer versus the Teams app or user controlled, that type of thing.
Great question. So from a user experience standpoint, you can make and receive calls using the smartphone native dialer or any Teams endpoints. When you make an outbound call, the user just picks the right endpoint they prefer, whether it's the cellular phone endpoint or it's any Teams endpoints, and it shows your one number for outbound calls. But when you receive an incoming calls, we do SIM ring all Teams endpoints other than the smartphone. So let's say you're logged into your laptop and you're logged into your smartphone. In this case, the laptop always SIM rings. But now when it's ringing your smartphone, we need to make a choice whether we try to ring the Teams app or the cellular mobile device in this case. And the mobility policy basically gives you the preference whether on your SIM-enabled smartphone, do you want incoming calls to ring your native dialer or the Teams endpoint? Because what we don't want is both endpoints ring on the same device, because it will be very confusing for the end user. So that's what the mobility policy does. It gives you the flexibility to choose your preference, that when you receive a call on your SIM-enabled smartphone, should it try to first ring the native dialer or the Teams app? With this, of course, your laptop will always SIM ring. So the mobility policy is not changing the incoming calls behavior on secondary devices other than your SIM-enabled smartphone. The choices we have with the mobility policy is that the admin can either choose the Teams app as default for incoming calls. They can choose the cellular native dialer as the incoming call preference, or the admin can give the end user the ability to choose which one they prefer. And if the admin allows an end user to choose their mobility policy, you can just go near real time, change that on the Teams app wherever your day takes you. So you may prefer to have calls ringing the Teams app during work hours because a lot of your peers are calling you. And when you're ending your day, you may want to change it to native dialer, and then all calls come to your native dialer. So mobility policy gives you that flexibility to choose incoming calling behavior on your SIM-enabled smartphone.
Nice. I think that's an important feature for sure in terms of how people work.
This question just popped in my head. Can a user use this if they don't use the Teams mobile client? Like if I'm just a laptop Teams user?
Yeah, it's a great question. So we allow you to make and receive calls using the cellular network or any Teams app. So if you are just right now signed into your laptop, you will receive and make calls using Teams on your laptop. But on the smartphone, it's your choice. If you don't have, let's say, Teams signed in, calls will still ring your smartphone. So it works as a regular smartphone as well in this case.
Got it.
I think that raises an important point to the listeners, is that it offers a certain level of extra resiliency that Teams does not offer, in the sense that in the event there's a glitch with Teams or there's a problem, you can't sign in. There happens to be, I know Teams doesn't, it's a pretty reliable app, but in the event that there's an issue in the cloud and Teams isn't running, inbound calls still route to your mobile phone. So I think that's an important call out, and I believe that there's extra resiliency that TPM offers in that regard, versus just having operator connect with a regular mobile phone that rings when the endpoints sign in. So you don't even have to install the Teams mobile client, and you'll still get calls on the mobile phone, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Absolutely. Customers can stay connected no matter what with enhanced reliability. Teams Phone Mobile helps ensure consistent call quality and reliability through our unique integration with mobile operators. What that means is customers can automatically switch between Wi-Fi and mobile networks. And in case, let's say, Teams is down, users will still be able to make and receive calls using their smartphone native dialer. And it also works in case that, let's say, if you don't have good cellular coverage, you're in a basement, you can still use the Teams app for calling using the internet. So it works both ways. The one thing, Dino, I just want to add is when a user gets first time enabled with Teams Phone Mobile, they need to sign into the Teams app to go through the first run experience to make sure they're fully onboarded. After that, there is no requirement for the Teams app to be signed in on your smartphone. You will still make and receive calls using the native dialer.
Can you run that first time experience in the desktop client, or it has to be on the mobile client on the device?
It has to be on the mobile device because we need to make sure when you receive incoming calls, we can apply that mobility policy to that Teams endpoint versus the cellular phone. So it is required for you to first time sign in on the mobile client on the SIM-enabled smartphone, but after that, it's not a requirement.
Okay.
Yeah, that resiliency, just to follow up on that, is really good point. Because remember the days of Skype for Business for regional offices, you had to deploy the survivable branch appliance, right? In the case that PSTN went out. So yeah, that's great.
It's kind of that inbuilt. This has that SBA you just mentioned inbuilt into the network in this case.
Right.
So customer doesn't need to do anything extra. We will take care of this for our customers.
Yeah, for regional businesses, I can see that being a big advantage for sure. Just one quick question about the availability from an operator perspective. So you mentioned you're in multiple regions. Generally, does the number of operators available in each region just varies as you're rolling it out? Can you give us some indication on sort of North America versus Europe globally, what that looks like right now?
Absolutely. As I mentioned, we have already launched the service in multiple countries, 7 to be precise, and we continue to grow. We keep launching the service in new countries on a quarterly basis. And we are currently working with lots of top mobile operators globally to introduce the service. We're very excited about this and lots of great announcements to come shortly.
That's great. I do have a question, and maybe I'm not sure what you're going to think about it, but so you have the TPM that you're working on, growing and expanding, as you mentioned. It has the resiliency and kind of deep integration on the cellular side, and then we're seeing some other certified solutions coming in from like an eSIM to Teams SIP gateway kind of experience. Right? Are you able to kind of talk about the pros and cons of going through, and why someone should probably go with TPM versus another solution?
The Teams Phone Mobile is, as I mentioned, a direct interconnect for us with mobile operators globally. So there are certain functionality you get with Teams Phone Mobile which you cannot get with any other products. For example, Teams Phone Mobile allows you to select whether you want calls on your smartphone to ring your native dialer versus the Teams app, and it's smart enough to only ring one of those endpoints. Plus, because this is a fully integrated service, when you are on a call, you can seamlessly move calls from the native dialer to the Teams app. This is really unique to Teams Phone Mobile. The fact that it's smart enough to ring the right endpoint at the right time based on your choice, plus also on a given call, you can seamlessly start the call on the native dialer. But if you feel that you need advanced collaboration, you want to do video, you want to do screen share, you can seamlessly move the call to the Teams app on the same smartphone or to your desktop app without dropping the call. So these are some of the features which are unique to Teams Phone Mobile. Plus also the fact that we work with leading mobile operators globally, you get the best quality of experience by using the 5G network technologies out there.
One last question before we wrap up, Obaid, and that was, what's the status around having, say the user has Teams Phone Mobile but wants to have a second SIM in the running on their device? Is that currently supported today by all carriers, or is it just by carrier?
It's a great question. If you have a dual SIM smartphone, you are able to put the Teams Phone Mobile SIM on it as well, and your personal SIM. It can be an eSIM or a physical SIM based on your device and how it gets supported. As long as the device is unlocked to that operator, you are able to use two SIMs at the same time. Now, in case of, let's say, you want to make an outbound call, it will always give you the option to which SIM you want, your personal SIM or your Teams Phone Mobile number in this case. And incoming calls also come to your smartphone. Now, in case, let's say that you're busy on a personal SIM on your smartphone using the native dialer, when you receive a Teams Phone Mobile call, it will see that the native dialer is unavailable and busy, so it will fail the call over to the Teams app. So you will still see the call coming in this case on the Teams app. So we definitely are able to support those dual SIM scenarios on a single smartphone. If you bring your personal device, of course, with Teams, based on your admin settings, you may have to download the right mobile device management software and have the right profile so you can access your Teams and your Outlook on your smartphone. But as long as you have that, there is no problem.
Right. Thanks for clarifying that.
Yeah. Just wanted to also add, with the service now launched for a year, we have seen great success with mobile workers and hybrid workers using the service. We have seen lots of sales teams, service technicians, information workers who require traveling, really enjoying using the flexibility of the service. Plus also think about highly regulated verticals like financial and insurance verticals, which really have a need for compliance recording. And now with Teams Phone Mobile, not only can compliance recording be applied to Teams calls, but also to the native dialer calls. And that's also of great value to our customers. So we have a bunch of different type of users who are really benefiting from the service, and we really look forward to enabling many more countries and users to be able to use our service efficiently.
Good call out. And if people are interested in what's coming in the future, I guess we have Ignite about a month away. They should stay tuned for announcements coming at Ignite.
Absolutely, yes.
Fantastic. Well, we'll leave it at that. Obaid, thanks so much for coming on and answering all our questions. I think that was a fantastic, about 17-minute overview of Teams Phone Mobile. So really, really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me here.
All right. See you later. Thanks.
Talk soon. Bye.
Thank you.